讓人知道唔會最隨便嚟。
allows people to know that they cannot be careless with their lives.
第三，
Third,
做那做讓人錯人先做呢？
how did Jonah lead the people to the
做
Lord?
那呢個人承擔啲家己應該負嘅責任。
And amongst in front of the people, Jonah assumed his own responsibility.
你睇第12節，
Look at verse 12.
你講你將我夾起嚟，天地海嘅中間，海就平靜，因為我知啊，你對到這個大荒是我嘅原因，我嘅原因。
He said to the man, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea, and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that this great storm has come upon
做
you."
那實實在在是個基督徒，
Jonah is indeed a Christian.
實實在在是主嘅僕人。
Indeed, he was a servant of the Lord.
Yes，你錯唔到大字，
Yes, he committed a mistake.
但是
But
而家承擔家己嘅責任，
then he dared to pick up his own responsibility.
而冇走。
He didn't run
基
away.
督徒你未追走，
Christians, you shouldn't be running away.
錯唔到大字未追走。
If you've done something wrong, you cannot run away.
你可能冇走，人嘅罵啦，罵我。
Well, you say that if I don't run away, then people are going to be rebuking me, scolding me.
搞定未？好人罵你，
Well, let people scold you if
你
they
人拍
beat
我，
me. People will beat
好
me
人
up.
拍你，
Well, you let people beat you up.
人嚟估借交估，
And if I need to go to
你去借
prison,
交估，
then you go to prison.
這是你承擔罪嘅結果嘅原因，
This is bearing your own responsibility for your own
這
sins.
是你嘅信仰。
This is our faith.
你嚟走無去，
If we run away,
為什麼你信耶穌？
then why would you believe in
你冇需要
Jesus?
信耶穌，
You don't need to believe in Jesus.
信耶穌人是會承擔家己責任嘅人。
Believers in Jesus are people who are willing to take up their own
做
responsibility.
啦，
Jonah
做嘅人顯出一關真正嘅信仰承擔嘅能力。
Jonah demonstrated an ability to assume the cost of true faith.
He shall take up your responsibility and your consequence of your mistakes.
You need to take up your own responsibility for the consequence of your mistakes.
這是信仰嘅規律。
This is the power of our faith.
你聽下這句話，
Listen to this word.
宗教是逃避上帝，信仰是見證上帝。
Religion is escape from God, whereas faith is a witness to God.
宗教裏面都有宗教嘅 doctrine 教義及宗教嘅儀式。
All religions, they have their own doctrines, their rituals and ceremonies.
這個人遵守了當中嘅 doctrine 當中嘅教義，
And if one is able to follow, to obey all the doctrines
行到當中嘅儀式，
and to fulfill all the rituals,
這個是好嘅先善嘅人。
and this is one who is religious,
但這個人係對佢及呢個善冇關係。
but this person is able to detach himself from his God.
我應該做嘢，我做了咯，所以拜拜。
I've done my share of my responsibility, so I'm fine. Bye.
所以宗教渣渣是逃避上帝，
So religion is actually an escape from God.
但係信仰唔是呢？
But faith isn't like that.
信仰是需要你及你所信嘅神發生生命嘅關係。
Faith is coming into a relationship with God.
你是什麼樣嘅人？
What kind of a person are you?
你有什麼樣嘅信仰？
What kind of a faith do you have?
香港有一個真真奇怪嘅現象。
In Hong Kong, there is a very strange scenario.
香港有一個偶像叫做關公。
There is an idol in Hong Kong called Guan Gong.
關公是個歷史裏面一個真正有叫做義氣、一個 righteousness and justice 嘅人。
Legend says that Guan Gong was actually a person in history who was very righteous, very just.
等於離開世界以後，
And after he died,
人會就尊敬這個人，
in order to show respect to this
將這個
person,
人奉追神。
they made him to be a god.
但你記得講大字哦，
But remember something,
關公到現在都唔知一家嘅是神哦。
Guan Gong up until today doesn't even know
一
that
直
he's
在
a
唔知
god.
哦。
He really doesn't know that he's become a god.
啊，嗰是神嘛，我都唔知。
Am I a god? I don't know that.
是你創嘅啊，唔係我創嘅啊。
Because you're the one who made
但
me.
是香港真奇怪，
But in Hong Kong, it's really very
香港有
strange.
兩群嘅人真愛拜關公。
There are two groups of people who love to worship Guan Gong.
第一
Number one,
是香港惡社會嘅人，
it's the mafia in Hong Kong.
就關販毒咯、走私咯、奸廉嘅人真愛拜關公。
Drug dealers, smugglers, and all these criminals, they
因
worship
為咁，
Guan
你咁
Gong
乜關公這個人真正有義氣啊！
because they feel that Guan Gong is very righteous.
所以你兩邊就拜嘅。
That is why we must worship Him.
另外一群嘅人呢，
But there is another group of people.
是香港嘅 policeman，
Are the policemen in Hong
香
Kong?
港嘅片
The policemen.
片局裏面咯，有一個關公伫下，
And the police stations, you will see them worshiping Guan Gong.
我家己笑啊！
And I was thinking to myself,
嗱，我是關公，我真排罪，
if I were Guan Gong, it would be very difficult for me to decide.
我是排人個，
For example, if I'm a
我見
criminal,
你及關公拜拜嘅，
I go to worship Guan Gong today.
關公啊，關公啊，
I said, Guan Gong,
見到你咯，我俾佢 kidnap Alex 嘅責任，
today I'm going to kidnap Alex
你有關當戰好些，
and help me, grant me
我嚟
success.
kidnap 成功，
And if I'm successful with my
留 ransom
kidnapping,
好啩，
and if I am able to get
好你直
ransom,
接燒地啊嘛，
I will offer you a lechon.
呢個是呢個排人咯，
This is a criminal.
我掠佢咯，
And so I was caught.
啊，路邊叫片嚟個。
Ruby reported to the
哦，
police.
路邊度個片講我嘅紅超人掠去哦，
And Ruby went to report to the cops saying that my husband has been kidnapped.
police 衝下，
And what do the police do?
佢拜關公個，
The police would go and worship Guan
關
Gong
公啊，
also.
關公啊，
Say, Guan Gong,
呢個排人我將 Alex 掠去啊，
these criminals have kidnapped Alex.
我先準備掠佢，
Now I'm going to go and
你有個仔啊，
catch
到這
them.
個排人，
Help me to know
我
which
行我
one.
些，
And help me grant me
嗱掠
success.
了我，
And if I'm able to arrest him,
好你隻掠穿，
I will also offer you a lechon.
哇靠啊！啊，呢個是關公真排罪啊，
If I were Guan Gong, it would be very difficult for me to
只有一個
decide.
辦法，
There's only one way.
快倒一隻較好食，
I would see which lechon is more
Come on,
delicious, right?
你必必好過掠穿嘛，
Because you both are giving me lechon.
你留到呢個三隻，冚冚三隻，
Unless one guy gives me 3 lechon.
冇呀，大志啊！
That's not true at all.
即係你信仰我，即係可能相信啊！
How can you believe in such kind of a faith?
真正嘅信仰唔係是有信仰嘅承擔力，真正嘅信仰有道德嘅標準。
True faith not only has the power to bear responsibility, it also has a standard of morality.
Yes，
Yes.
咱得救唔是好嘅行為。
We are saved not by our own good works.
你嗱信主以後，
If after you become a Christian,
完全冇好嘅行為。
you don't manifest any kind of good works at all.
I'm sorry to inform you，
I'm sorry to inform you.
你可能未得救啊，
Perhaps you aren't saved at all.
因為你信仰完全冇道德嘅標準啊。
Because your faith has no standard of morality at
你是
all.
信什麼樣嘅神啊
What kind of a God are you believing in?
？Jonah
Jonah
信個獨一嘅上帝，
believed and put his faith in the
我
one
唔
true God.
對，
I am wrong.
現在我要承擔我嘅 mistake，
Now I am going to bear my own
你將我天地
responsibility.
海裏面，
Throw me overboard.
我就信仰嘅規律。
This is the power of faith.
哦，結果
And the
一
result,
添落去，
after he was thrown overboard,
海浪中平靜
the
起來，
sea suddenly became calm.
全船嘅人多多敬畏耶和華
And
上帝。
everyone on board greatly feared the Lord.
你嘅承擔力，
The power of your bearing the responsibility
好人認不就係上帝。
allows people to know this God.
到尾就係 conversation，
The last conversation,
14到16節，
verses 14 through 16,
上帝及船嘅人講話。
God spoke to the man on board.
這17節嘅經文喺裏面，
And in this 17 verses of
講呢
scripture,
未這個華邦人有三拜嘅祈禱。
the Gentiles, these unbelievers, had 3 prayers.
頭一拜是第五節，
First prayer is found in verse 5.
大家人愛求家己嘅神。
Each one cried out to his own God.
明顯這拜嘅祈禱冇果效，冇 response。
And it is very evident that there was no response, no result to their prayers.
因為祈禱了，這個黃鷹冇停過。
Because even after their prayers, the violent storm did not stop.
Of course，
Of course,
伊所拜嘅神是假嘛。
because the gods that they were worshipping were false gods.
但是第二、第三拜14、16節是獨一嘅真神祈禱。
But during the second and the third prayers, they were actually praying to the one true God.
哦，這兩拜冇上咯。
And on these 2 occasions, it was different.
頭一拜
First time,
第14節，
verse 14.
伊講耶和華叫我管求你，唔通因這個人嘅性命好官死亡，唔通我流無個人嘅血嘅罪留喺咱嘅身上，因為你耶和華是隨家己旨意嘅大志嘅上帝。
Then they cried out to the Lord, Please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man, for you, Lord, have done as you please.
當約拿講你將我貼喺海裡面，
After Jonah told them that throw me overboard,
呢個準係人無悲啊！
well, the man on the ship refused to do so
你聽說約拿，
because they treasured the life of Jonah
無強強無悲，
and they insisted not to throw
盡
him
量盡
overboard.
量救伊。
They tried their best to try and save him.
但係先講黃英哪來哪多，
But the Bible tells us that the storm grew more violent
伊無法咯。
and they had no
所以
way out.
before 將約拿貼落去前，伊祈禱啊。
So before they threw Jonah overboard, they first prayed.